just told Mike that I understand now why he's going to not be here next weekend. He's going to give his bloods Friday morning. He doesn't want to hear the doctor having a stacked blood, his blood going up. This morning, I'm going to start a series of sermons on the Ten Commandments. I have some unusual ideas concerning the Ten Commandments. And I want to even begin with my first comment with the fact that you may disagree with me with what I'm going to say. That's fine. I'm not infallible. But I like for us to be thinking about the Ten Commandments. This morning will be nothing but a basic review. Several weeks ago, I passed out or made available to people in the church paper where you can make suggestions for sermons and things that you would like to hear, especially for the rest of the summer. And one of the suggestions was the idea that we would have a series of sermons or a sermon on the Ten Commandments. Now, I'm not going to tell you who handed that to me because I don't want to embarrass Alice. I thought it was a good suggestion. It reminded me of the time when I was preaching at the Chesapeake Church. During that particular time, there was a community county down towards Cincinnati on the high side, and I can't remember the name of the county. But there was a big controversy that was taking place at that particular time over the Ten Commandments on school grounds. Claremont County. I got the authority over right out of Cincinnati. But in order to be able to finance their legal battle, they came up with a yard sign that had the Ten Commandments written on it, both front and back. You put it in your yard showing your support, and then slid down the blue covering with a white print on it, which all they had on it was the Ten Commandments. I got involved with that. I ran into a fellow that worked with another fellow at the atomic plant up in north of Portsmouth. And they were selling those signs for $3 each. Had 50% of the cost was for the cost of printing the sign. 50% of the cost went to the financing of the legal battle that they were in. And I thought it'd be nice if we would show our support and so forth with this particular battle. Now, I'm not sure I remember the details too well, but I think the battle was over the fact that the school board sold the Council of Churches a corner of their property, and they mounted steel stone with the Ten Commandments on it. It was private property owned by the churches, and the ACLU, or whatever it would be, was fighting against it. I don't know how many signs that I sold during that particular time. I used to keep them locked up in the trunk of my car so that I would have them available for anybody that would want them. I would estimate I've sold over 1,000 of those things in support of those there. I'm not sure, that's just a rough estimate. One night about 10:30 at night, I got a phone call from a fellow who happened to have been driving through the area, saw all the signs up in the area, and he checked to find out where these signs were coming from, and he wanted to buy some signs from me. He was from Akron, Ohio. And I'm not knowing what I was getting involved with. I took Steve's dog with me just for protection because she would protect me with her life. And I went down to the parking lot of McDonald's in Proctorville. And I waited for this fellow to come, and he looked at all the signs I had, and he says, "How many do you have there?" I said, "No." He said, "I'll buy all of them." He said, "I'm going to go home. I'm going to go home and distribute them to my church." If I recall, I had around 50, 60 signs, and he gave me enough money to cover all that. But it was a mistake by taking my dog, because my dog fell in love with this fellow. And the dog, I think, would have protected him rather than me. And that's the way life goes. I can remember, though, that before he left, we had prayer together. And our prayer was for our nation, that our nation would get involved with the Ten Commandments and reestablish it as a foundation of our nation. I got so proud of Roxy because when we bowed our heads for our say prayer, she sat right down and did not move all the time we were saying prayer until we said amen. Now, I don't know why, but she did. I was shocked. I was shocked during this particular time with some of the remarks that were made to me. Getting involved with a lost cause. You're foolish for doing these things. I have here some of the comments that were made. I had one person tell me, or one church tell me, the Ten Commandments out of the Old Testament should not be used to emphasize Christian in the Christian churches today. I disagree. I happen to feel the Ten Commandments are very basic to the moral foundation of a land where we recognize the moral responsibility that we have to God and to one another. And when I use the term Christian churches, and then I'm using the term in the broad sense, including all people that profess to be Christians. I had another church tell me one time when I was talking to the minister, and that, these are not Church of Christ Christian churches, these are churches in the broad sense. The Ten Commandments are out of date, no longer applicable to living today. How foolish can a person be to believe that? And I also had one church tell me the Ten Commandments are man-made, written by Moses. That Moses lied to the people, said they were from God simply because he wanted the people to accept what he wrote. I don't think the character of Moses would allow him to lie about such things. In fact, if he would have lied, he would have been breaking one of the basic Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not bear false witness. I want you to think just for a moment about these Ten Commandments. We're not getting involved with them today. We'll do that next week. But remember how they came about. The children of Israel were held in slavery by the Egyptians for some 400 years. And God, through the 10 plagues, relieved them of that slavery. And they came to the Red Sea, and they crossed the Red Sea in dry ground. I'm not getting too involved with the story, but they came to Mount Sinai. Now, there is some question as to the location of Mount Sinai. I think it was right there across where they crossed the sea. And while they were there, God delivered the Ten Commandments to Moses. If you recall, the sacredness of that mountain was so great that if anybody would have touched the mountain, they would have died as a result of touching the mountain. But the Ten Commandments are recorded twice in the books of the law. Once in Exodus and once in Deuteronomy. Exodus records how God took his finger and wrote the Ten Commandments on tablets of stone, front and back. The book of Deuteronomy is when Moses called all the people together and had a farewell speech before they crossed over into the Promised Land. They are basically the same, except for the fact that, remember the Sabbath day in the original was identified to the creation of God. In 6 days that God created the worlds, and 7th day he rested. In the one that Moses gave in response to his farewell speech, he said that it was because of their deliverance from the Sabbath day was being in memory of the deliverance from the slavery in our region. Not too much of a difference other than that. Some of the things that come to my attention as I think about this. First of all, the unique place of the Ten Commandments in the Jewish religion. The only part of the law that was given that was actually written by the hand of God. I want you to think about that and remember it because it's important. All the rest of the law through the books of Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers was given orally to Moses by the angels through the direction of God. And Moses delivered them to the people orally, and they were written. The Ten Commandments, as you think about, had a very unique place as far as their placement. They were placed in the Ark of the Covenant, which eventually was placed in the Holy of Holies, the most holy place, and given an extreme place of honor in the Jewish religion. Jesus emphasized over and over again the Ten Commandments in his teaching. And you find that spattered throughout the writings of the apostles. The Ten Commandments are also repeated over and over again. In fact, as you think about it, I haven't gone through everything I have here, but as you think about it, I think there are two scriptures